This year has seen a significant decrease in evolution releases compared to 2024 due to two reasons. Number one being the fact that we got more new cards and reworks this year, so they took the spot of the second evolution we usually get besides the past one. Number two is heroes, and I am not gonna open this kind of forms, at least not this early. We'll talk about them eventually. Now, needless to say, understanding evolutions is necessary to win your games, considering how well the 2024 recap did, and how close I am to 100k subs, please sub. I thought, why not make it a yearly thing and explain every single evolution released in 2025. Starting off with Dart Goblin, a 2-cycle evolution released January 2025. Dart Goblin as a card is known to either get you tremendous value that it sometimes wins you the game on its own, or he gets in touch with his inner glonk. The evolution kicks this up a notch because the more he hits a target, the stronger his poison becomes, which means ignoring him is very costly. However, the difference is that the poison is permanent, so if he gets only one shot and gets spelled away, it doesn't make him entirely useless. It only goes away when the poisoned unit dies, which means that this evolution is nearly useless against squishy cards since you can't keep a poison on a skeleton that you already one-shot. To maximize the value out of him, you have to either sneak a poison dart on a fragile, expensive support troop so that he kills it even when he's dead, or abuse the illusion of free choice. See, now this cow is your opponent. This stupid cow has arrows and thinks it's smart. On one side, it can arrows your Evo Dart Goblin and save its push, and on the other side, it can arrows the random bullshit you spammed on the other side. The funny thing is that she doesn't realize that both choices will lead to the same conclusion. Only the enlightened possesses enough intellect to comprehend the fact that thou has nothing to gain from facing hyperbait but despair. Therefore, thou must forsake the game. Next, we got Lumberjack, a 2-cycle evolution released February 2025. This evolution looks pretty simple on surface level, as it feels like you just get a second unkillable lumberjack that lasts a certain duration. But the amount of times I've seen people on Twitter complain about a bug when it's the intended interaction drives me to believe that most people don't even understand how he works. First thing is that he has a fixed lifetime similar to a building, but it's around 5 seconds, give or take. The fact that he has no HP might make you think that you can't kill him, and you just have to wait for his lifetime to end on its own. While that's mostly true, he dies if he gets out of the rage radius, so kiting him outside or tornadoing him away can do the trick. Or simply just ignoring him if he died in a faraway position can do the trick. I would watch out though, because if they played a second rage as a bridge between him and the tower, it would allow him to reach further. Despite the game showing him with balloon, I actually think the card shouldn't really be played that way. When he's the one tanking, it's easier to keep him from being within 500 meters from any of your princess towers. Also, when he is paired with a balloon, they can easily use flying troops without worrying about giving you value because he can't target them. Whereas if you're using him with a ground-based win condition, it's more likely for your ghost to gain some extra value even when killed far off the tower. Since it's mostly just game the moment he dies near a princess tower, that makes him a great bridge spam card. And he works well behind beatdown pushes because even if they take him out, the ghost will remain and possibly even help the rest of your support troop. Next we got Evo Hunter, a 2-cycle evolution released March 2025. The Evo Hunter comes with a net, which aesthetically complements his identity as a hunter. What it basically does is simply it just stuns a target by pinning it down on the ground. The way it acts is exactly like a freeze, so a netted Electro Giant can't reflect damage back. And it can reset cards like Sparky and Evo Inferno Dragon. Just think of it as a freeze. The main difference here is that it can ground flying troops, making them targetable by ground troops. Just like the Evo Lumberjack, there are some common misconceptions regarding the net ability. Most people think it's a bug when the hunter turns his face to net a close troop and then goes back to attacking the old target he was locked on. But the reality is that the net has its own targeting system that doesn't stay locked on a target. The nature of this net makes him the GOAT of 1v1s because it freezes any singular target for 4 seconds every 6 seconds. This means that having him in your hand gives you a safe window to overcommit against decks with heavier cards because, in all honesty, it just is extremely difficult to push into him. And attacking with him is equally dangerous against such decks since if they wait for him to cross the bridge, it will net you some extra Royale Giant hits. Basically, using this Evo is somewhat similar to Evo Goblin Cage, so having skeletons and spirits in your deck complements him very well. So yeah, he fits perfectly in this deck that seems to never fucking die. Next we got Executioner, a 1-cycle evolution released April 2025. This one is quite simple. The axe has some knockback with the closer half of the attack. The knockback follows the same logic of Bowler and Fireball, so there are some troops that would be immune to it. Aside from the knockback, the closer half of the attack also deals extra damage, making him better at DPSing win conditions. However, there is one non-simple thing that came out of this evolution. It's this comment. 8 months ago, executing Clash Royale at November 24th. Level 16 released in November 24th. How the Now, the main difference between the normal card and the Evo is that the Executioner usually doesn't hold his own ground. Being 5 elixir and needing further support is one of the main issues with this card. With the added knockback, now it's more likely for you to find situations where just the XC alone can suffice. This would both make it easier to defend a split lane push with him or make playing him in the back a bit safer. And on top of that, it makes it harder to punish you if you got this card in your hand, as it needs less support than it usually does when unevolved. Next we got Witch, a 1-cycle evolution released May 2025. As a spawner, the Witch will give you more value the longer she survives, because every few seconds she spawns around 1 elixir worth of skeletons for free. The evolution effect allows her to heal from every single skeleton she spawns the moment they die. Yeah, having her spawned troops give the same value while sustaining her HP is a recipe for disaster. Her healing is slightly delayed, as you can see with this animation. This delay allows certain spell combos to take her out if timed correctly, so she isn't really fully immune to spells. At least not the insta damage one, but she technically is immune to poison and other similar stuff. Now, a good player will try to use their Witch in a way where the skeletons die immediately on defense if the opponent is running Fireball Zap, to make it harder to time. The reason it gets harder is because the Witch can overheal above her max HP, and that can make her survive some bullshit interactions. Usually cheaper and cycle-like decks are the ones that struggle against Evo Witch because they tend to chip down on stuff, while heavy decks can just... Next we got Inferno Dragon, a 2-cycle evolution released June 2025. Inferno Dragon is garbage against swarm cards because it resets every time one of them dies. With this evolution, he's now as effective against them as he is against tanks, because he no longer resets himself. And since changing targets doesn't reset him, this means that snowballing him or knocking him back by anything will keep his charge. But this doesn't mean it's impossible to reset him, because electric based attacks will still reset him. The way you use this card is just like the original, since it's still great on defense, but it doesn't stop there. Unlike the regular one, this guy is cracked on offense, especially when counter pushing, because he basically fries whatever card they play on it in mere seconds. Besides resets, his main weakness is getting stalled and sniped by ranged cards, since they don't need to be close to deal with him. That's why this card is mostly played with either Freeze or Tornado, as it covers up this specific weakness very well. Does this mean anyone without resets is screwed? Honestly, sorta, yeah. You aren't fully screwed, because after 9 seconds of him not attacking anything, the charge will reset on its own. But honestly, 9 seconds is too long. It feels like the devs were sued to make it near infinite.
My client is done being B tier. No evolutions in 9 years. That is career sabotage.
From what we can tell, his numbers are decent.
Let me ask you, what's the maximum damage level of my client?
3.
3. It's nothing.
What are you thinking?
4. Enough. You have 48 hours. No evolution. He walks. I walk. He flies.
Okay, so they were literally sued to make this Evo and add the 4th damage level. The 4th damage level they speak of is basically... Well, the Inferno Dragon has only 3 levels of damage normally, but the Evo has the 4th secret level that applies after 20 seconds of him melting troops. I've never seen this happen in a real game, so it's not something you have to worry about. Next we got Skeleton Barrel, a 2-cycle evolution released in July 2025. Now, just from the looks of it, one can guess that it has 2 barrels instead of 1. And that's absolutely correct. it spawns double the skeletons when it gets on the tower. But if it was just that, it would be underwhelming and easy to counter. To make sure this thing pisses off as many people as possible, they made it drop one of the barrels at 75% of its HP, so you can't time one spell to kill both skeletons. And since that's not annoying enough, they increased the death damage to where one barrel can take out minions. To put things into perspective, a regular skeleton barrel can't kill minions with one death damage, but this piece of junk can kill them, and it has 2 death damages. And to make things even worse, it has more HP than before. Like, why? This card is like the biggest embodiment of low risk, high reward. It's extremely broken, yet no one complains about it because the loud minority all just play e-spirit log with the editor Abdod here. Yeah, I edit my own videos. Anyway, I just went on a rant, but I cut that off because I figured the crash out is not worth your time. Obviously, to maximize how annoying this card is, you want to make sure it's the one tanking so it drops half the skeletons earlier. If their building is out of cycle, I can see a good argument for tanking with another card, since getting both death damages will get you a ridiculous amount of damage. Or force out some inefficient use of elixir to stop it, because it really is hard to kill with how fast it goes to the tower. Overall, it's a very flexible evolution and has multiple uses depending on what card they have in their hand, which is mainly why it plays really well with stuff like Hyperbait and Mortar Bait decks. Next, we got Furnace, a 2-cycle evolution released August 2025. Something is missing in my nutshell collection. What was the... Oh, I didn't do an Evo Furnace video. Come here, you hunk of junk. Evo Furnace in a nutshell. Despite it looking simple, since what the Evo does is just increase the spawn speed when attacking, I still have a few things I want to go over. If you notice, the regular spawning pattern is just the spirit coming out of its oven in front of it, which is similar to the non-evolved Furnace. When attacking, it changes to spirits jumping out of his hat, which I bet was made just for visual clarity. However, it does change a few things. Since the spirits alternate between right and left, having it placed towards the middle of the arena on defense might waste some of the spirits every now and then. To get the most value out of him against single lane pushes, it's best to place him closer to the corner. And honestly, most Furnace decks use buildings, so that corner placement will help with spacing them against spells anyway. Now, another difference this spawn pattern makes is on the river, as the regular Furnace can spawn spirits that will just walk naturally over the river, you know, pretty normal stuff, and help you push faster. The evolved one spawns the spirits in a way that will have them go towards the bridge, so this trick wouldn't work with the evolved version. Overall, there isn't much of a difference. Basically, when evolved, it becomes harder to push into, given how much DPS those fire spirits can deal to your push. So make sure to abuse this by protecting him properly and defending pushes for some really nice elixir advantage and to build a huge counter push. Next, we got Baby Dragon, a 2-cycle evolution released September 2025. Do you also want Sonic the Hedgehog in Clash Royale? No? Just me? Well, you're getting him anyway. Baby Dragon will turn your mini P.E.K.K.A or really any fast troop into Sonic. Don't believe me? Take it from Surtag himself. Once the Baby Dragon attacks, a square of wind appears around him and lasts for quite a bit of time. The wind will slow down all the enemy troops walking through it and will speed up all of your friendly troops that get in range of it. It only speeds up the movement speed instead of being like Rage and boosting both movement and attack speed, which is good honestly, because can you imagine if it boosted both? Oh wait, no need to imagine, we had a similar mechanic with mini P.E.K.K.A in another game before. Since it boosts the movement and the Prince charges every X tiles, it speeds up every charging attack similar to how Rage does. The only card that attacks faster under its wind is Evo Battle Ram, because its attack speed is tied 1-to-1 with how fast it can go back to the tower. Since it doesn't buff attack speed, using it with decks like P.E.K.K.A doesn't make the most sense, because they can stop your P.E.K.K.A from moving. It's not bad, but it's way better when used by actual beefy win conditions, as those would keep just going for the tower, so the buff will be always helpful. And for the same reason, it pairs up well with ranged cards on defense, because they can outrange enemy troops. Whereas if you use melee troops on defense, that slowdown practically does nothing, so it feels like a waste. Overall, a very versatile Evo, good both on offense and defense, and likely best used as a counter pushing tool after a successful defensive sequence. Next, we got Skeleton Army, a 2-cycle evolution released October 2025. This is one of those evolutions that will either do nothing or straight up just single-handedly win you the game. Whenever a skeleton dies, it will turn both invincible and invisible, solving the problem of it dying to spells. The only way to get rid of the invisible souls is to kill the skeleton general, which has a shield. I am sure people will use this card the intended way. Yeah, as you can clearly see, the card is just not that strong, but it's broken when you cheese people with it. What I recommend you do is just learn to use it normally as a spell bait card, because I have a feeling they will fix those cheese strats at some point. But if you really want to play it the unintended way, I'll teach you when to go for each cheese. The ones where he gets stuck too long behind some tower is when they don't have cards that like arrows that can take out the general. The pocket trick is best used when they have arrows, because I doubt they can react fast enough to clip the skeleton general with their spell. And if they have a single damaging small spell, it's best to tank for the general, because support troops might just get that last hit on him. Well, I guess this one isn't cheese, but it's very important to do if you want to benefit from your evo. Next we got Royale Ghost, a 2-cycle evolution released October 2025. The mechanics of this thing are very simple. He becomes visible, he spawns 2 small ghosts. So that means he can spawn them infinitely if the opponent sucks. Alongside their spawning, they have spawn damage that follows the target the ghost attacks. The way I would think of it is similar to how the Prince first charge has extra damage. The first ghost hit after he goes invisible will have some extra damage. This extra damage on the first hit makes him great on defense, as it changes some interactions. And even when there aren't any specific interaction changes, any extra damage will always be nice anyway. On top of all that, the ghosts from defense will go invisible too, so it's great counter pushing opportunity. Those spawned ghosts have 1 HP, so they bait out small spells, which is part of the reason you sometimes see Evo Ghost in bait decks. Honestly, it just gets annoying having 2 things spawn when I get attacked by a ghost. I'll just play something else. You have got to be kidding. Next we got Royal Hogs, a 2-cycle evolution released November 2025. Apparently, when pigs fly is a common phrase for saying it will never happen, so the devs thought it would be funny if no Clash Royale player can use this phrase ever. On surface level, this Evo looks extremely broken because most counters won't work on it anymore, but the reality is, they will eventually drop down. Obviously, you don't want them to drop on your tower because they have some insanely high drop damage. Your solution here is to either kite them with a building so it takes the drop damage instead of your tower, or damage all of them because they drop when they get damaged. Playing them is a win-win-win situation. 3 wins. The first win is if they are low on elixir, they can just defend them as they do with regular piggies, in which you will get a crap ton of damage from the drop damage. The second win is if they aren't low on elixir, they would have to waste extra elixir to overcommit to prevent a lot of damage, so it puts you in advantage. And the third win is if they are using a building, because you likely no longer need to earthquake, so it gives you better results for less elixir. There are a few counters that I guess would technically work the same regardless, but most of the time it will either get you extra damage or force out extra elixir. There are no downsides. I would aim for the damage though. I think it's better to spam them when the building is out of cycle or an air splashing card is out of rotation. For December, there was no evos because we got this thing instead. If you liked this video or don't understand some evos that are not included in this video, check out the 2024 video top right, which also conveniently includes 2023 evos, my dudes.